Good morning, meteorologist Bob Acarfio with today's tropical update for Monday, August 15th, 2011. Well, we have our seventh named storm of the season developed over the weekend. It's Tropical Storm Gert. I will close in on Gert in a moment here and give you some details on Gert. We have once was I guess it still is Invest 92L. That has been absorbed into Gert. No longer a chance of developing there. That was just to the southeast of Gert. And then we have back on the map here, the National Hurricane Center has gave this area back to a 10% chance. This was Invest 93L. Invest 93L went away. Now it's back. We're running models on the system again. And be interesting to see what this system does as it gets into the Central and Western Caribbean. Really not much model support right now for it, but could be something to watch as it gets kind of past that 75 west marker out in here. And we'll see what may or may not happen to this system. So we'll definitely watch this system, especially if you live in Jamaica, Cayman Islands. Might be one to watch this week and see what happens with it. All right, Tropical Storm Gert, southeast of Bermuda this morning, moving north at 14, which is good news for Bermuda. Could be some squally weather on the eastern end, but Gert is a small system, and not going to be much weather across Bermuda. A little breezy conditions, of course rough seas, nothing they can't handle. And then off to the northeast, and it gets picked up by the trough and the westerlies, and out to sea it goes. Missing our friends in Canada, which is good news for them. It'll pass well to the southeast of Nova Scotia, so will not be any issues for you guys up that way as well. And let's close in on Gert now. Let's take a look at her. Visible satellite this morning. Pretty small but well-developed system. I'm going to show you on the radar here in a moment as it's really trying to wrap around the convection around a eye feature that's trying to develop. Not yet all the way around, and I don't know if it's going to get there. You can see it's kind of starting to get smashed like a little pancake here, and that's some northerly shear starting to hit Gert. So last night, it was starting to get on its way to maybe becoming a hurricane this morning. Like I said, hurricane hunters are in there now, and we'll see what we get. But I'll show you on radar in a moment. It's not quite there yet, and will it get there? It's going to be close, but this northerly shear may just be enough to not bring it to hurricane. So we may be 7 storms, no hurricanes so far this season. And you can see passing well east of Bermuda, and shouldn't be much of a problem for them at all. Put a little color on this this morning, and you can see starting to get squashed a little bit here by some of that northerly shear. So we may or may not get ourselves a hurricane. It's looking a little less likely. If we look at the radar this morning here out of Bermuda, you can see it's about probably 75% wrapped around this center here, the convection. It's trying, but that northerly shear is just enough not to get it there. And for this to become a hurricane, this is going to have to get all the way around here. And it just may not get there at the moment. And it just may never become a hurricane. We might be at our peak now, maybe get up to about 65, maybe 70. Again, it'll depend if this can wrap all the way around. Again, most of the weather is well east of Bermuda. We might see a little squally weather on the eastern end of the island, but that's going to be about it for them. So they dodged a bullet here with Gert, and good news for them. Just closing in on Gert real quick, you can see that northerly shear here affecting this system. Got into a nice little area of light shear, warm waters here the last 24 hours, and that really helped it develop. And you can see as it moves to the northeast, shear will start to increase, and then also we could put water temperatures on here. You see they decrease rapidly here in about that 24-36 hour marker, and then we'll see again Gert to start to decrease as they always do once they get up north here and shear hits it in cooler waters. All right, what else do we have out there? Well, looking at the wider view, here's Gert. Here is Invest 93L. Again, squally weather, a little heavy rainfall here across the Leeward Islands and Windward Islands. That's going to be about it. Not looking at any development here in the next 24 to 48 hours with this one. Again, you know the rule of thumb. If they're not developing east of the islands right here, once they get into the Eastern Caribbean here, they are not going to develop. More times than not, they don't. And there is a lot of dry air sitting in here, which I'll show you. There was that little system here that actually broke off from Gert. I was watching this weekend. Had a little mid-level spin to it. You know, again, just something to watch. You just never know, right? But it doesn't look like it's going to develop anytime soon over here. A little convection flaring up in the southwestern Caribbean here. And we'll watch that with a one little eye open here. See if something may try to spin up down in the deep Caribbean down in here. All right, water vapor, and you can see all that dry air here in the eastern Caribbean. What happened with this system was it was really a lot of dry air in the central Caribbean, but also it was moving fast. The easterly trade winds were just whipping this across. It didn't really have time. Now it's kind of slowing down, kind of regathering itself, so to say, and we'll have to see what happens with it. It's also in an area of light wind shear right now as well. And the wind shear is actually pretty favorable throughout the Caribbean here. But again, with all this drier air in the eastern Caribbean, you don't see anything develop. We'll have to wait till it gets past the 75 west marker. May see something try to get going as it moves west. And again, just to let you know, there's not much model support at all for Invest 93L developing. But we've seen that happen plenty of times this season where there isn't any model support and then it starts to develop. You can see big East Coast trough right now. Bringing in the drier air all the way down into the deep south here. This trough will begin to start to lift out as we get towards in the next couple days. And we have an area of high pressure right in here, and then we're going to have high pressure building back here. So Invest 93L will move west, west, northwest. It's not going to move up this way at all. And again, wind shear, big tut feature out here. Again, Invest 93L in a pretty good spot, and it'll continue in a pretty good spot. Shear values will stay pretty low across the Caribbean. So we'll have to see what happens as it gets into Central and Western Caribbean. Vorticity, again, not much with Invest 93L currently. There's our little system to the north of the Dominican Republic, and of course Gert right up there. Saharan air layer, and this is to show you, everybody's watching this system probably come off of Africa, and again, it looks great now, but it's going to go through the same problems that Invest 93L had as it moves across the Atlantic this week. It's going to encounter a lot of this dry air. We still have sinking MJO motion right now, but the MJO is coming back with a vengeance by the end of the week, and it's going to continue throughout the month of August. So, you know, you've seen these systems really fight in that dry, stable air, but when the MJO comes back, you're going to watch these systems, especially as they get farther west, they really could blossom up quickly. And that's why Invest 93L still has a chance as it gets into the Western Caribbean. Conditions will be much more favorable, so that's why we have to keep an eye on it. But I don't expect much out of this system coming off Africa right now. Again, we'll have to wait till it moves farther west and see what happens. And again, the bigger picture, this is in telecast satellite here, just to show you that system moving off Africa. Again, I don't see much happening with it. You can see the milky appearance up here of all that dust coming off of Africa right now. All right, models. Invest 93L again. We're running models again on this system. It's early, but this will show you the overall pattern. This is where it's most likely heading. We're going to have high pressure building to its north. So it's not going to be able to come up this way, not even come up this way. It looks like this is going to be one of those west to west northwest runners. And, you know, again, maybe if it gets up in here, who knows? This is way off in the period here. Will it just move into Central America? You know, long way off, a lot to know. But again, this isn't going to come up this way at all. It's not going to take that big right turn that we saw you know, Emily take and Gert and all the other storms that moved up this way. Looking at the model run, this is the GFS. It keeps 93L an open wave, moves it all the way into Central America here, so straight pretty much on the west-northwest. Eventually starts to develop our system off the coast of Africa. Pretty weak system, and then it really starts to try to spin it up again as it gets closer to the island. So that'll be one to watch. And you can see this is about 7 days out, and you can see the subtropical high really building in. See these troughs now starting to go up and over this ridge. And even, you know, 7 days out, we still have high pressure pretty much in control here. After 7 days, once we get to that 10-day marker, it looks like the pattern's going to try to shift again trying to bring a more pronounced East Coast trough, and we'll have to see if that really develops or not. I told you we're going to get these little changes here in the pattern from time to time, and that's going to dictate where these storms will go. But again, for the next 7 to 10 days, I expect everything to move pretty much farther west. Nothing on the euro today at all. This goes through 10 days, and basically the pattern is showing pretty big ridge here. And then once we get to about that 10-day marker, we see the East Coast trough trying to come back. And we'll be watching for that change towards the end of August, if it materializes or not. And if you look at the 10-day pattern here, you see that ridge over southeastern Canada starting to try to break down. And we're trying to build a little more pronounced on the euro, not as pronounced on the GFS. Trying to get that trough to start trying to build back across the East Coast. So it'll be interesting if we get that other quick little pattern change or not. But definitely looks like in the next 7 to 10 days, any storms that do form out here are going to move farther west. So we're not going to get that move out to sea that a lot of these early storms have done. And MJO, it is definitely coming back. You could see here, this is the 15-day forecast. It's going to come back with a vengeance as we move from now definitely into the end of this week and then into the end of August. So be prepared to really see things these storms have been fairly weak, but watch, when we get that MJO back, they really could blossom up. And with that ridge pushing everything farther west, folks along the Gulf Coast got to be aware. So just showing you that. And again, of course, we need the storms first, and we'll be getting them. It's going to be a busy time in the next few weeks. All right, that's it for my update today. Thanks for hanging in there a little longer today. If you want to follow me on Facebook, it's Robert, ACANFRIO. Have a great day.